Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right in today because we are unpacking something pretty fascinating. We're looking at how a highly localized domestic crisis in South Africa is unexpectedly transforming into a massive continent-wide diplomatic initiative. As we'll see, there are some incredibly deep connections being forged right now between migration, regional diplomacy, and the entire economic future of Africa. So think about this for a second. Can domestic border tensions actually spark continental unity? Usually, right? When governments face migration pressures, their knee-jerk reaction is to lock down, they throw up walls, they tighten the borders, and they look completely inward, focusing almost exclusively on internal enforcement. But South Africa? They're doing the exact opposite. They are actively reaching out. It's a completely counterintuitive move that has seriously caught the attention of policymakers and investors globally, and we're going to break down exactly why they're making this play. Section 1, the migration catalyst. Okay, to really understand this diplomatic shift, we've got to look at the trigger. Recently, South Africa dealt with some severe internal social tension, specifically a series of xenophobic attacks targeting foreign nationals. But instead of turning inward and just putting out the fire domestically, a pivotal moment happened on June 4th. During a bilateral meeting in Pretoria, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa hosted Kenyan President William Ruto. So you have leaders from two of Africa's most influential economies sitting down together right in the wake of these attacks. And the result of that meeting? South Africa decided to dispatch special envoys across the entire continent.
Section 2, a diplomatic pivot.
What we're witnessing here isn't just some apology tour. It's a strategic elevation of the issue. Like we talked about, the traditional response to this kind of tension is relying heavily on internal security. That's a standard playbook. But South Africa's new approach leans entirely on diplomatic outreach. They are aggressively reframing migration. They're taking it from an isolated domestic security problem and turning it into a shared African challenge, one that literally demands collaborative regional solutions. President Ramaphosa actually captured this new mindset perfectly. He stated, "Migration should be addressed collectively through collaboration between governments and regional partners." Now, this is a highly calculated move. By leading this conversation through diplomacy rather than isolation, South Africa is setting a vital precedent, precisely at a time when migration pressures are becoming increasingly urgent across emerging markets globally. Section 3, the economics of mobility. To truly grasp this push, we've got to look straight at the economics. Remember that June 4th sit-down between Ramaphosa and Ruto? Well, it was fundamentally centered on deepening trade, investment, and economic cooperation. You see, the grand ambition of the African Continental Free Trade Area simply cannot succeed if we only talk about moving products around. You absolutely must facilitate labor mobility. That is, the movement of workers and skills across borders. Because here's the hard truth of economics. Trade integration requires human mobility. You cannot seamlessly move goods, services, and capital across borders if the people managing, selling, and supporting them are locked in place. It just doesn't work. By linking the migration discussion to broader economic cooperation with Kenya, both governments are signaling a deeply integrated, highly realistic approach to the continent's development. Section 4, implications for investors. Now, if you're running a multinational company, or maybe you're a Pan-African entrepreneur or an institutional investor, why should this matter to you? Well, because cross-border trade, logistics, tourism, and professional services are the absolute lifeblood of an interconnected economy. When anti-immigrant sentiment flares up, it creates this massive cloud of uncertainty. It disrupts supply chains, it halts travel, and it makes long-term investment planning incredibly difficult for anyone operating across multiple markets. Which leads us directly to a crucial takeaway from our source material. For businesses with Pan-African ambitions, diplomatic stability remains a critical component of investment planning. South Africa knows this for sure. By actively engaging other governments and reaffirming their commitment to peaceful coexistence, policymakers are making a very deliberate move to protect investor confidence. They want to safeguard their hard-earned status as a stable, reliable gateway economy for the rest of the continent. Section 5, the continental future. Zooming out for a macro view, this cooperative approach signals a completely new reality for African development. For the longest time, the focus has been on trade agreements, which require regulatory alignment, and infrastructure, which requires massive capital investment. But we're now seeing the undeniable recognition that human mobility is an equal pillar of growth, and its key requirement is deep diplomatic cooperation. The future of regional growth isn't just about building roads or signing treaties anymore. It's about how countries manage the cooperative movement of their people. If there is one absolute key takeaway from our time today, it's this.
Migration policy is economic policy. Actually, scratch that. They aren't even separate departments anymore. As African economies become more and more interconnected, managing human mobility isn't just some border security issue. It is the absolute foundational bedrock of economic expansion and regional stability.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. How will human mobility shape the future of global markets? South Africa's decision to choose diplomacy and continental integration over isolation is a massive test case for one of the world's most complex challenges. If this cooperative framework for human mobility succeeds here, it could very well redefine economic integration all over the globe. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.